start recording. Every one of these sessions is posted on YouTube afterwards on the Forex League page. So to give you all a bit of an overview, Nick, myself, Angelo, we'll run through all of our analysis for the week. We mainly are just going to cover swing trading. So whatever we go over, whichever pairs we go over, Nick and myself have pretty much been analyzing for years now. Pretty much follow these pairs in particular. So take our ideas, look at your own charts, see how they compare. If you guys have any ideas of your own, feel free to post in the chat, and we'll also do a giveaway about halfway through this session. Or we'll actually announce it now. Any point in the session, just post us on your IG story, tag the funded trader, tag Forex League, and just show that you're on the session. We're going to give away one 10K challenge for the funded trader to one person. So one person will win a free challenge from the session. So that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Nick. He's going to go first, and then I'm going to go second. And yeah, I'll post the rules for the giveaway in the chat.
Awesome. Let's do it. But yeah, not a bad way to get into a giveaway. Just a little IG post and the stories. That's not bad at all.
Not bad.
But yeah, let's get into it, guys. So we're going to start off with DXY. I'm going to run you guys through my watch list here. And we're going to just follow a method. So I'm going to brief you guys on it first, and then we're going to get into it. So every single pair, I'm going to do this. It's just like, again, my method. I'm looking for the overall trend on the daily time frame. That's all we need to gather. You guys can see some zones, whatever, but really all we need is the overall direction. So we could look at this chart, simply say, what has DXY been doing? Is this a bullish chart? Is this a neutral chart? Is it ranging? Is it bearish? Clearly, guys, this is bullish, especially if you follow the dollar, higher highs, higher lows as well. Strong characteristics of a bullish trend. So there's really nothing on this chart that says it's in a downtrend. So we'll use that information, go to the 4-hour, and then come up with 2 trade scenarios. So we want to be aware of the higher time frame trend because we are swing traders, right? We're trend traders trying to focus on price action. The highest probability trades are going to come from when multiple time frames are lining up in the same trend. So if we're bullish, let's say on the daily, on whatever tradable pair, we're also looking for that to be bullish on the 4-hour, on the 1-hour, and so on, right? That's going to increase our chances, for a profitable trade. Okay, so here we are on DXY 4-hour. We know that the daily was bullish. So what's going on here? Does this look more bullish or bearish to us? It's looking bearish, right? We're moving lower. We're seeing lower lows, some consolidation, lower lows, lower highs, breaks of support. It's showing more characteristics of a bearish trend. So the dollar's been bearish the last week. Is this trend going to continue? And where are our significant levels, right? So we could see right here at 106.4, this was a key level. Kind of led to this continuation here. We broke lower. We threw a huge wick, a lot of rejection. We're going to see this, kind of play out now. Either it's going to confirm this lower high or just dump at this point, right? So we're just looking for rejection from 106.4 essentially, right? So this is the most likely that will continue bearish. It's the trend we've been seeing. There's a lot of movement. Nothing here yet says that the 4-hour is bullish. So this is the most likely. We'll head lower into the week, and our eyes are on 105, which is the next major support level, right? So there's, we're not just choosing random targets. There's a lot of, reasoning behind this. And it's also not like a million pips away, right? It's relative to, the candlestick size, the volume, and what we've been seeing. So that's one scenario. The other is this goes back to bullish. So what needs to happen?
Yeah, this thing's definitely looking a little bearish, huh?
Right? Yeah, it's coming down a little bit. Now, if we break 105, this will kind of be a little more major because now we're breaking some daily zones. The higher, time frame you get, this is where we saw a previous high. So we could be seeing some serious reactions around 105, but that's what we're looking to get. That's this next week, right? That's what we have as a possibility for this week. So the opposite would be this going bullish. What has to happen? What do we need to see? Price action has to push back above 106.4 and then give us the first start of a bullish trend, guys, is a higher low, right? So that would be structure, nice higher low, find support here. And then following that would probably be a, rally up towards 107.6 area, right? Next key resistance level. Okay, so that's the possibility for the dollar. We don't actually trade the dollar, for those of you guys that know. We just like to be aware of what it's doing because it makes up such a large part of trade. And especially during, uncertain times like we've been seeing, a lot of movement has been coming specifically out of the dollar. So it's good to be aware of that. However, this has always been part of our strategy because we trade most of the majors. If a pair makes up for 80% of all trade, you probably want to be looking at it. So that's all we use DXY for, more or less as an indicator, just trying to find the trend. Okay, so we're looking bearish on the 4 hour. That's good to note. It could continue bearish into the week, right? Also good to note. So let's do the same thing. We're going to apply the same strategy, same method to our first tradable pair, AU. So overall, we are bearish, right? Strong characteristics of a bearish trend, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, breaks of support, and so on. So this is actually in a pretty key zone right now, right at 0.7. If we break above this, this will be looking more bullish on the daily, right? So this is pretty much a big retracement until this zone's broken. It is technically bearish on the daily only, but that's good to note, right? We're at a key level that could change this higher time frame trend. So let's go to the 4 hour now. See what this is telling us. Looking a little bit cleaner. Let's just size this up, bring this into perspective here. So let's follow what price action was doing, right? We're pushing lower over here, lower, lower, lower lows, lower highs, breaks of support. We found a low down here, also a double bottom, right at 0.67. From there, it pushed up through this zone, 0.68. Broke this lower high, got a first higher low, and that was the transition from a 4 hour bearish trend to a 4 hour bullish trend. See that? We broke the lower high, pushed above, got new structure, and then we were off. So that was a pretty clean transition. It's forming a very nice channel right now. So it makes things really easy to see as for what we want or what we want to see to enter a trade, right? So this could continue to consolidate for a little while, but we really want to see how 0.7, how price action reacts at 0.7. If this is to continue bullish, which it very well could, this is a pretty strong trend. We need to see a break above 0.7 and then the higher low above. Now, remember on the daily, we said if we break above this level, get structure above, it's now pushing the daily into a bullish trend. So now we'd have multiple timeframes lining up. Could be a good opportunity here. I do have it marked up with the long tool, looking like a 4-to-1. Again, this will slightly vary depending on where price action confirms, but not a bad trade. A situation that I'd definitely be interested in taking if price action formed like this. Okay. Now, again, price action could just consolidate. This may not even happen. What has to happen, though, for us to consider shorts to see AU is bearish on the 4 hour? So we would need to see, again, rejection from 0.7, whatever this pattern is or formation, it needs to kind of develop and then push price action lower. We'll look for a lower low and then a lower high below this minor level, 0.695. This could be the start of a 4 hour bearish trend in which we'd look to target down towards our next support level. I have this one marked up too. We're looking to get about 100 pips. We're risking anywhere from 25 to 30, depending on where price action actually confirms. But either way, over a 3-to-1 risk to reward, it's looking pretty good either way that AU goes. So I'll be watching this one for this week. Definitely high on the watch list. Just got to see how it plays out here, right? We're not going to predict anything. We're not going to jump the gun. I'm not going to short it now. I need to see either a lower high or a higher low in order to get into a trade. So almost always, guys, I'm looking for, if I'm buying, I'm always looking for the start of the trend, right? Or a higher low. And then the opposite, if I'm looking bearish, I'm always looking for a lower high. Okay, I'm a trend trader and I'm really strict with my rules and I'm really not going to stray far from that. So usually or 90% of the time I'm entering on higher lows or lower highs. And in this scenario, it shows it pretty well, right? So we're going to wait for this consolidation to end, wait for the next trend to step in, and then we're off from there. So it's really following price action rather than predicting it. That's really how we do it. All right, so that's AU. Let's jump over to AJ. This one's not as clear. It's kind of mid-trade, mid-swing right now, but let's just go to the daily real quick. We're going to get the overall trend like we've been doing, and then go down to the 4 hour, try to make sense of it. So just off the rip, this is bullish, guys. I mean, look at this momentum. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, consolidation, at the high. So clearly bullish. We are at 93 support. It's a pretty key level. So let's go to the 4 hour and see what that's looking like. AJ has been super bullish though. Okay. Size this up, bring everything into perspective. All right. So price action reached 95, started dancing around, got this whatever pattern, did not form, it could be a giant M pattern, whatever you want to call it. Didn't play out great. Price action reversed heavily, started pushing lower down towards 93. So we threw a fib on this because this is obviously the start of a new trend, a new leg here. It's looking more like a 4-hour bearish trend, but we don't have structure, right? We don't have a lower high. All we have is a low, right? That's not really structure forming price action if it's just running in one direction, you know? So we really need to see some sort of structure. That could come now off this 93 level. We'll see rejection. Price action will come back to this 38.2 area, and then we'll be looking for lower highs, you know, strong bearish variations from there. Obviously, that's pretty far away. We just throw a quick measurement on it. That's 100 pips minimum just back into this area where we'd look for those lower highs. So that's one possibility. Because it's so far away from execution, this is actually pretty low on my watch list. But if this doesn't happen, like if it doesn't come back and give us a lower high structure here, this could keep pushing lower, right? Who's to say that we haven't found our low yet? We've yet to see any sort of reaction, so it could easily just keep melting. So that's kind of the bad part about AJ this week. You know, it's just kind of mid-move. Need to wait and see more. It's just a patience game when you're seeing price action like this, right? I mean, I don't know anybody who would, a good trader would, you know, take a swing trade like right now, would just short this or something. It just doesn't make sense. You need to see more, more to base the trade on. So that's AJ, and it's even farther away from a long scenario, so I didn't even include it for this week. Really just waiting for structure to form. That's AJ. Let's go over to UJ. Similar story here, just more volume. Let's go to the daily first. UJ overall, guys, I mean, bullish as well, right? Super, super bullish. We could see this is our key zone 134. Generally, if we're above that, given where price action is now, we're looking more bullish. If we're below 134, we're looking more bearish. Price action's falling off pretty hard. It's pretty much below 130, 134 now, so we're looking for structure. We could already tell that from the daily, but let's go to the 4-hour and see. This is pretty close to changing trends, but we're not there quite yet. The 4-hour will tell us more. Let's zoom into this. And let's just follow price action. It's a little easier to start it that way. Okay, so overall, or back here, we pushed up. It was overall bullish at this point. Then we started ranging, right? This is all consolidation. Price action pushed up. Classic break and retest. Here's that higher low. Pushed to a new high, and then came back from there. So we started getting some choppy price action. Price action fell back into the range and then picked up some steam as the dollar started falling, right? So UJ is super dramatic. Whatever the dollar's doing, it'll kind of just increase that energy. It'll take that energy and then just run with it, right? So UJ will always be super dramatic. If you see the dollar start to fall a little bit, you'll really see UJ fall. It's probably the best way to describe it. So that's what we saw, right? We broke back into the range. Here comes the first engulfing. It just set this off and just shot that to the downside to a new low, which is pretty much around 134, right? So from here, what can we do? We know we want structure. We want to see clean price action. I wouldn't mind a nice pattern or some consolidation. And this blue trade path is probably the highest probable trade that we'd like to see, right? Price action pulls back. Again, like we said, maybe some consolidation, maybe a pattern. Really rejects 38.2 and 134.5. Gives us some nice clean entry in the form of like a bearish variation, evening star, you know, something like that. Even, you know, a pennant or something. Something to clearly say that, you know, conviction stepping in, bearish conviction stepping in, and we now have an opportunity to short. So that would be ideal. But again, similar to AJ, this could just keep running. It could just run right now. So this is looking like a 2 to 5, you know, some odd 3 to 1. If we could get a really clean, you know, pullback and then rejection from 38.2. But yeah, like we were saying on AJ, this could just, it could just continue to fall. You know, who should say that we're at our low yet? This is a little bit too much volume for me to consider this a, you know, a real retest. I would like to see this form more natural structure, right? When you're seeing a ton of volume, it's easy to get emotional and to make quick decisions, you know, but that's not clear price action. That's not ideal price action. So that's why I would really be patient, wait for a pattern, wait for a little more time in this area, and then boom, then comes a conviction. Then we're interested in that, right? We don't want sloppy trades. We don't want trades that like, or price action setups that are provoking us, right? We want to make calculated trades. And with that, we need to see clear price action. So that's one scenario. That's the short. If we are to consider UJ bullish again, we just got to get back above this major zone. So 134 in general, more specifically 134.5 with a higher low above that. I'm not sure I would take that trade, but this is the first thing we need to see to start considering UJ bullish again. Okay. So as of right now, super bearish, need to see more. Thing is just kind of falling like a knife. If you got in on this engulfing, I mean, this is a bearish flag, right? We had a push, there's your flag, there's the conviction. If you got in on this, I mean, congrats guys, you're in one hell of a short. We could actually mark that up just to see.
Wait,
Yeah,
UJ, that'd be pretty tough. Oh, you're saying from the top, the flag?
if you entered on the flag, yeah. I mean, I know
Yeah.
somebody did. There's a good chance somebody's in on UJ right now. So if you're in on this, good for you. You're
Oh,
up almost.
if we pull up TFT right now and look at some trades, people are in.
Somebody's in UJ and somebody's doing well.
Yeah.
350 pips.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, damn, if you even want to do this, just for a
Dude,
little, let's do.
dude, I'm
Go
not
ahead.
gonna lie, bro. I hate UJ.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. You got to be patient as hell.
Yeah,
You really do. Oh, someone's crushing this right now.
I've lost so much money on UJ.
Yeah, that's me with UCAD. We all got
Oh,
that one pair here and there that it's just horrendous.
yeah, it's
So
terrible.
yeah, guys, if you're in on this, you're killing it. Good for you. Not a bad trade. But yeah, 2-minute back testing session, right? We'll take a look at that. But yeah, that's UJ, right? Waiting for structure. It doesn't look like it's gonna give us that. We can actually, this is one of the few pairs where you can pull up DXY and just see. This is what I was talking about with it being dramatic. Look at this little wimp of a candle. Well, it's actually got a wick on it, so there's a decent amount of volume there. But either way, this tiny ass candle, this is what it looks like on UJ. It's just like 5 times the size, so it's very dramatic, very, very dramatic.
So
So we need to,
somebody sent me a private comment. And they said that's me with every forex pair besides US 30 and NAS, which are obviously indexes.
hey, I mean,
Forex pairs crush me.
that's some people. Some people don't like Forex, they trade stocks. Some people like, indices. Some people like commodities. That's why you got to do a little self-discovery. Trading's kind of, or it actually is all about that, whatever fits your tolerance level.
I'll say this, based on what we know with the data that we have, you're not the only one getting crushed with Forex.
Yeah.
Forex is for the most part where people lose most of the money. And then indexes and gold is where people are making most of the money. So that's why I even say, like, to beginners, whomever, like, honestly, like trade indexes and gold at this point.
Yeah. Or at the very least, expose yourself to it, get some back testing in, figure it out, see what you like.
Yeah.
It's good advice. Trader tip 106.
Trader tip 1,700,000.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously see if you like there are some Forex pairs that I'm very confident in trading, but Forex has not been, I don't know the exact terminology, but it just hasn't been trending as well in the last, what would you say, like year, 2 years?
Yeah, I'd say about 2 years. They're about. It's not normal conditions, right? Think about like Forex pre-COVID with no factors, right? No elections, like the Trump thing set that off too. No war, just normal conditions. That's prime Forex, right? Whenever you're having like global uncertainty or just war, things going haywire like a pandemic, you're gonna see Forex be a little more challenging. You're gonna have to adapt certain things. You're gonna become a little more patient. You'll see an increase in volume, like we've been seeing. Like one interesting topic that we had in a conversation the other day is that, like a couple of years ago, the average daily range for like AU, let's say, would be like 20, 35 pips, right? Now it's like 100, or it's like 80 to 100, So everything is so like just higher volume, and you have to adapt your strategy accordingly. It's harder conditions, but it's not going to last forever at the same time.
No, I mean, who knows? There might not
Yeah.
even be a market in a couple of years.
May only be crypto left at the end of this, right, guys? We don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I just want to tell you guys, like Forex, if you're getting into trading, if you're a beginner, people for the most part lose more on Forex. So maybe invest more of your time in indexes and gold.
Yeah. So it's good to know. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. I got EJ and gold left. So let's wrap it up. We're here on the daily time frame. Overall, EJ's been pretty bullish, right? Moving out of this zone here. This was actually like a massive area consolidation all the way back here. We're bouncing for a while. It finally got the bullish momentum. We pushed higher, got the higher high, got the higher low. Nice continuation. It's one hell of a rally. I mean, this is blue for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, just blue after blue. That was a nice rally. And then it double topped, started getting shaky. We blew out this low, started getting lower lows, lower highs. And then we took out just recently, last week, 137. Okay, so this is a key zone that's going to determine if EJ is bearish on the daily or bullish. One thing that we do need to see is a nice lower high below 137. So ideally we can get that from the 4-hour, and then it'll confirm on the daily as time goes on. But this is really the key thing around this major levels. We need structure below to set this off into a new daily trend. Okay, so let's go to the 4-hour, see what we can make of this, see what price action is doing. Let's bring this into view. All right, so this is the nice continuation down. Right, here's the lower high that we just saw on the daily, 141.6 area. Nice double top, came down. Nice break and retest of 140 as well. Pretty good structure, lower lows, lower highs. This is all structure in here. And then we got this recent leg that we're measuring, right? So from this lower high to this lower low, we threw a fib on it. And now we just want to see new structure below 137, right? We just took out support. We'd sure love to see some confirmation, right? Lower high would be great. Enter somewhere on that. And then we got a massive trade targeting down towards 133, which also lines up with our negative 61.8. So there will be a couple of TPs along the way, but we're looking to target 350, and we're going to risk anywhere from like 50 to 80, which is just going to increase our risk reward, quite a bit. We're looking to go from anywhere from 3 to 1 all the way up to about 5 or 6 to 1. So twofold. Interesting. So there'll be some room on it. Again, it'll slightly vary depending on where price action forms, but we got a good trade. If we can confirm this lower high, trend continuation below a major level, this is going to be a 10 out of 10 trade in my book. So EJ is pretty high on the watch list. Keep an eye on that. But for the sake of analysis, we are traders. We want to be aware of all scenarios, right? Or at least the potential. So what has to happen for us to say EJ is now bullish again, right? We were wrong, guys. EJ's bullish. What happened? Price action has to push up, give us a new high, form structure above 137 in the form of a higher low, and then we'll look for potential entries on, strong bullish setups, strong bullish price action, bullish variations, morning star, good size engulfings, anything like that. We would be interested in potential trades, targeting back up towards, key resistance levels. We are further from that, so that's why this is the secondary trade. Right now, we're really just focused on reactions at 137. So we could have a pretty good trade on EJ. There's really nothing better than clean price action. I mean, this is just straightforward as hell. So I'll be looking for that. Hopefully it doesn't let me down again. I don't know if I can handle the disappointment. EJ is a real pain in the ass. All right, so let's go to gold. Overall, daily time frame, what's going on with gold? What's it been doing? So we've been bearish since we tapped 1997. Since we fell short of 2000 back here. I don't know if you guys remember that back in April. We've been bearish since that point, right? Lower lows, lower highs, breaks of support, retests as resistance, new bearish legs to a new lower low, right? All the way down towards 1676. So price action hit the low down here, started reversing. Overall, it's still bearish on the daily, right? We have to come all the way back up to 1800, and we could still be bearish on the daily technically. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't, 4-hour bullish trends that we could enter on. Just means that this has had a ton of volume and it's got a lot to prove, and it could retrace quite a bit, right? And still give us that lower high up here. So with that said, let's go to the 4-hour, see what the 4-hour is showing us. Can we get a trade out of this? I think we can. Things are looking pretty good, actually. And it all started back here, right? So this was really nice. This is actually great to see. We had a huge, right? Like we said, we've been falling off since April. With any large or high volume move, you want to see consolidation follow, right? That's how you know you're going to get back to normal market conditions. You want the market to slow down. You don't want it to just keep pumping in one direction. There's no trades available if that happens. So this was great to see. This is kind of like an expanding pattern where we started off with immediate chop, just price action, volume. Whoa, the volume just died right at this level. And then it started increasing slowly. We hit the low, price action pushed up, gave us this little 4-hour transition here. Right, we took out this lower high with this move, then we got a higher low, and then it took off from there. So with this rally, this recent rally, still moving, we broke 1740 as well, which is key zone. We want to see structure above that. So price action could pull back now, hit our 38.2, hit 1740, reject from there, give us structure at the same time, and then also a great trade opportunity. We'll be targeting back towards 1800, which is the max I'd feel comfortable targeting for the reasons we just covered on the daily. Right, this is the last level before we see reactions. So I would target that. And then you would move your risk to reward or your stop loss, slightly to determine your risk to reward. But either way, I mean, it's well over 3-1. We could even drag this down. My personal rule is I won't take anything under a 2-1. So by those rules, you could be super safe, almost 240 pips for 480. Super, super safe. So I'll risk 2% on this. I'll make 4% and I'll have complete peace of mind. Right? I know it's safe. I'll have tons of opportunities to exit or get to risk free, right? Plenty opportunity. So that's gold. That's the gold long scenario. What has to happen for us to say gold is bearish again? And the exact opposite, right? We got to break back through 1740, meaning price action falls through this level, gives us a new low, pulls back, gives us a lower high, new structure below 1740, and then we're back to bearish. Okay, but for now, it's definitely looking promising. I'm feeling bullish on gold, but I mean, this lines up with DXY, right? If DXY is falling, gold's to some degree relatively going to, appreciate. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, guys, that's all that I got. So I'll do a quick recap, cover DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. And these are posted in Telegram and Discord. So you guys have access to them if you so choose. You can compare it to your own analysis, learn from them, follow our suggestions, and yeah, have a hopefully profitable trading week. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I'll pass it off to Angelo, and we'll see what he's looking at.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, guys, we're doing a giveaway. Just post on your story. Someone post in the chat. Just literally take a picture of the session, post on your story, and you guys will qualify for the giveaway. Make sure to tag Funded Trader and Forex League on that one. So I'm going to get into my analysis. Nick, good job. Hope you guys got some good ideas from Nick's. Been covering the same pairs for a minute. So I'd hope at this
Yeah,
point,
right.
pretty decent.
If you guys make any profit this week, I want some credit. Come back next week and say you made money.
Yeah. No, there's definitely been some weeks where there's some killer trades that have been given on here. I like to at least give one signal on the session. So that being said, I'm going to get started with DXY. We're going to just take a look at this one again. Even though Nick went over it, I like to look at it myself just because of how important it is for all of us to understand, where is the dollar and what is the dollar doing. So I like to just start off with this before we get into all the other pairs. So starting on the weekly, I have my two zones marked. I have my 110 level, and then I have my 105 level down here. So this is pretty much my weekly range. If I were to zoom out all the way and see like why I actually drew these zones, they've been on here for a while. So if you guys have been joining the sessions, y'all know why they're on here. But for those that are new, pretty much we have resistance here, resistance there. And we've already rejected this area pretty closely right here as well. So when price is coming near this area, previously in the past, we're acting with a lot of volatility to this zone. If we start to zoom in a little bit more, we're obviously in a bullish trend on DXY. We've been trending up for quite some time now, all the way since June of 2021. So pretty much over a year, almost a year and 2 months, we've been just pushing higher and higher. At this point, we rejected the resistance zone. We have a bearish engulfing, and now we're pushing back towards support right here. So I'm really looking to see how price reacts in this 105 area. Will we see some sort of rejection in this area before we end up moving higher? Come into the 4 hour, like Nick went over, pretty much same analysis with me. We're just trending down on the 4 hour time frame. We were in an uptrend. Not to overcomplicate things here, we were moving up, creating these higher highs and higher lows. And then we ultimately broke this trend line, broke this trend, rejected it. And now we're making these lower lows and lower highs, moving to the downside. So the next target for DXY really is this 105 level. And this lines up pretty well with these other major pairs that I have been analyzing, specifically UCAD. UCAD's a signal that we gave out on last week's call. So we're going to pretty much just cover where we're at right now and what to expect. So If the dollar keeps shit in the bed, it keeps getting weaker, then UCAD will most likely continue to push to the downside. Canadian dollar will appreciate, gain strength against the US dollar, pushing this thing to lower zones than it's previously been to. But just coming back up to the weekly time frame, let's just understand kind of where we're at and how significant last week actually was with UCAD. So we were in this upward channel, trending upwards, right? Forming these higher high points, nothing really too crazy. You know, we're not making any crazy higher highs here. We're actually forming this, a bit of a flag pattern actually, or just this ascending channel. So not the strongest kind of reversal. I mean, look how aggressive this move was to the downside, and now we're just barely making these higher highs. Now, when we zoom in a little bit more, I have this weekly zone marked off right here about 129, between 129 and 129.5. And if we just zoom out, why do I have this zone marked? Pretty much we had support here, we had resistance right there, price moves to the downside pretty drastically. Resistance, resistance, resistance over and over and over again. So this is a very strong area, right? Where prices come into and rejected it, which is why I'm watching this area carefully. Now down to this area, we had support, we had resistance, we had support, support, support. So this is also a very strong area down here. And then obviously we have the lower trend line of this channel. So that's pretty much what I'm using for my target. Look how last week closed. We had this bearish candle closed with really no wick to the downside, breaking the significant support level. Probably going to expect some sort of retest right now. But yeah, we definitely had a nice move to the downside last week, further solidifying this move that we're in right now. Coming down to the 4-hour. 4-hour time frame, very much like DXY. We were in this bit of an uptrend, pushing up, and then we broke support and we broke below the red zone. And the entry was actually given based on this. This was an evening star, rejecting the red zone. So a lot of confirmations here. Perfect lower high area too. If we were to bring fibs on, this is like right around the 38.2 area, 50%. So just an overall lot of confirmations to enter the trade. Obviously, we're in some profit now, but we're really nowhere close to the target. We're up about 50 pips, but the stop loss is actually above the red zone, so it's at about 90 pips. So I wouldn't even consider moving stops to break even. Personally, at this point, I would just continue to ride this out. If this breaks here and retests and rejects, then I'd most likely exit the trade just because it'd be breaking this resistance. But we have a great resistance area pretty much right in this zone right here. This is a great area of resistance, previously support, obviously support here, resistance here. So price is sitting in a perfect position. And if this thing moves the way that we're assuming it will, you know, to the downside, this is a great 3-to-1 risk reward swing trade. So UCAD, we're just trying to continue to scale in on this order. If you guys aren't in on the order right now, best area to enter would just be on a retest of the resistance, and then we'd pretty much just get in on it again. So UCAD definitely looking good for this week. GJ, we had talked about this last week. So just to give you guys a better idea of the beginning of last week. So this was pretty much, we were right on the Sunday market blitz. I believe right here, let's see, it's the 31st. Last week was the 4th. Did we do last week's blitz on a Monday?
I think it was, yeah.
I think we might have. Yeah, I was gonna say, because this is actually where we were when we were on the blitz. That makes a little bit more sense. We were like right here, right? So we were looking for the retest before we actually got in on this. Then we moved down right there, and then we came back up. We hit, right, and then boom, came up. So this one like is tough because we hit the entry point and then it came down like 2-to-1, then we came back up and we got stopped out. There's nothing really we could do about this one. Honestly, I mean, we just got stopped out on it. I kind of posted about this, like an update about what I thought about what happened. We do have a supply zone up here, pretty much like in this area. We could draw it even a bit smaller if we just base it on these wicks all the way up here. We definitely have like a supply zone that it reached up into, rejected, and then moved to the downside. Personally, I just wasn't targeting to take an entry in this area. I was trying to target to take an entry more in this area. And then as you can see, it just, didn't reject it and came to the upside and then went back down. So I know a lot of people were posting about GJ, and a lot of people are making profits on GJ. There was someone in TFT who was actually had a huge win on GJ last week. So this was definitely a move to take advantage of. I just personally didn't have the analysis to take advantage of this one. Let's just zoom out. Let's look at it this week and just clear things up so you can get an idea of what should we do this week with GJ. So zooming out, always start on the weekly time frame for me. Let's see this. So always starting on the weekly time frame. We have this support level or this resistance zone marked right here. This is based on, we could go all the way back. There's a ton of resistance here, support here, resistance here. More recently, we have support right there in this area, resistance here, and then we previously rejected this thing back in April, and then now we're rejecting it again. So this is just a zone where we've rejected it previously. Looking at the actual price action now. So price action is showing us last week was in a bit of an odd area. The reason we were looking for shorts was because we had a failed morning star, and then we had an engulfing right there, and that's why we were looking for short opportunities. We just didn't expect it to spike up above the red zone again. Last week we closed a little bit of a wick to the downside, so not like too much conviction, but to me this is looking pretty bearish. Considering the price action, looks like we could be trending more to the downside, coming to the 4-hour time frame right here. Now we don't want to get like zoom out too much on the 4-hour. I like to focus a little bit more on actually where we are. And what I'm seeing right here is we broke below the red zone, and we also broke below this support level right here. So I would pretty much, this is where I'd be looking to enter if I were to do re-entries on GJ, and if my bias was short, I'd be trying to re-enter right in this zone, 38.2. This is right at the resistance level, right? Like this whole little area is an area of resistance. We obviously have the red zone already marked, and then you have the 38.2 area. So this is what the trade would pretty much look like. You could target these lows to the left, and then obviously there's targets a lot lower that you can kind of start to get into. Now, the thing that's hard is you'd really want to put stops a lot higher, right? Like stops would have to be up here to be in the best possible position. And you see how many pips that is, ton of pips, 230 pips. So really what we want to see is we would want to see something more like this, where price action comes up into this area, and on the lower time frame, we start to form some sort of pattern, and then we get that break of support, retest, and then we'd be looking to enter. And that way, if we did enter somewhere more in this area, you can kind of put stops like above the resistance zone, and then you have a great risk reward trade, whether you're targeting here 3-1 or much lower. Obviously the risk reward becomes much better. So GJ, this is pretty much what I'm going to be looking for. We are in a great area. Like this is very close to being able to enter. So I'm keeping this one high on the watch list. Let's go to GU next. So we went over this on last week's call. The analysis is playing out really well. So let's just come up to the weekly just so we can reiterate like why we had this idea right here. So let's just delete this. And let's just take a look at, let's just zoom out a little bit. So obviously weekly, very bearish, right? We've been pushing to the downside really significantly for quite some time on GU. It's kind of crazy, how much value GU has actually lost in the last year. It's went from $1.40 to all the way down to the lowest $1.17, which is really, really interesting. So
nauseating,
dude, it's so bad. Like, I mean, I'm not literally looking at the euro dollar, but I think the euro dollar is like 1-to-1 now with the US dollar.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's wild.
It's bad. So yeah, these things are obviously struggling. It has never actually closed below this area before, 121, 120. So that's something that I've just been taking note of. And as you can see, we're starting to bottom out. We have this like inverted hammer candle, another bullish candle. So definitely this thing is starting to turn a bit to the upside, but we want to remember we're still in a bearish trend overall. So zooming in on this, coming down to the 4-hour, where we had this resistance zone here, this red zone. This is where we were last week with the forecasting. We were right in this area, and we had broken into an uptrend, right? We see this trend line. We had broken into an uptrend right here, forming this new higher high, and then higher low, new higher high. But we had this resistance zone here, 121.5, 128. Like this is a huge zone here. So I was basically saying last week, until we get above this area and then reject here, we are not looking to take buys. We're not looking to take sells either. We're just waiting until this plays out. Now, as you guys can see, this thing came up. And as soon as it popped above this zone, much like GJ, how GJ has popped below kind of this area right here, it looks like, oh, we're doing the analysis, this thing already dropped lower. So we're just going to adjust this and put this here. We're going to adjust all the GJ targets. So much like GJ has moved to the downside. It's broken support. And now it's got to come back for some sort of retest before we can actually consider taking an entry on this thing. And we're just going to adjust all this because I was using the replay tool and didn't play it forward enough. So it's same exact idea here is we have the break of support. It's actually a much better area to enter at. We got 38.2 and we have the resistance right here. So GU is the opposite right now. It broke above the resistance. And now we're finding some support above that area. Best area to enter would have been here, which is like the previous resistance zone. At this point, we're kind of at the previous high already. So this thing's already up 70 pips from where the actual entry was. So what I would do at this point is I'm just going to move this, take this off, is I would look for the next pop up. Like if you guys aren't in this trade yet, I would look for the next pop up to the upside, and then you want to get in on the higher low. We're always entering on higher lows. Like don't be entering on the highs. Like this is just where you get caught. You either want to set limits here or you want to wait for confirmations, engulfings and whatnot. But always enter on the higher lows. So GU, right, just kind of continuing this move from last week. Didn't get a chance to signal this one, but we definitely talked about it on the call last week. So let's see this week, how this continues to play out. If this thing ends up breaking and doing one of these, right, breaks this whole trend right here. If it ends up breaking and just moving to the downside, then we just simply flip our bias and we just literally take a short. You don't got to overcomplicate things here. This is red zone. It's going to move very dramatically in one direction right now. So, be very mindful that it's in an area where you want to be taking action, right? If we're in this buy, right? Say we didn't move our stops to break even though we should right now. If this thing bottoms out and we hit our stop loss and we lose 1%, and then we just take another trade to the downside short because this thing's reversing course, and then we make 3%, right? You just got to be ready. Don't like sulk on one trade. Take the next position, continue to play out the strategy. Don't get stuck. So let's go to Ncd Usd next. This is the only one from last week that I didn't really give a trade out because we weren't really near an entry area. We were just consolidating between this red zone and this red zone. And if we pop back up to the weekly, let's just take this. So if we pop back up to the weekly time frame, we can very clearly see we've overall been in a downtrend, right? Dollar's been gaining a lot of strength versus the New Zealand dollar. But we hit this bottom at support, and now we're moving up, right? We're moving to the upside. Last week, we were expecting to retest, this area right here, considering we were so close. But we're just not looking to take a trade on this until we break from out of one of these sides, right? We're not really looking to take a trade. This is just a consolidation zone right here, considering how significant it is. Like if we come back up to the weekly, this is the previous weekly resistance right here. So if anything, we would want to be taking shorts on this and really moving to the downside, right? We wouldn't want to do anything like any buys until coming back to the 4-hour. We would not want to be buying this until we get something like this. We get a clear break of the resistance, and then we're getting in on the retest, and then we would literally just trade it to the next zone, which is up here at this resistance level. So personally, like the way that I'm looking at it right now, this is an uptrend. The way to trade this is to buy. I'm not buying until it breaks above the resistance, retests, and then moves to the upside. This is what the position would actually look like. Targets would be all the way up here. Again, this is swing trading. You could put stops all the way to here, right? 2 to 1. But you're not gonna probably need to do that. Probably gonna just put them in this area. So it ends up being like a 4 to 1 risk reward trade right here. So yeah, this is really, a lot needs to happen to get in on this. So I'm just gonna leave it up here. But this is the idea. We're bullish. Don't overcomplicate things. Things moving to the upside. Picking up steam, right? Just made another higher low. This is what we're anticipating. This is what we're anticipating here. Break, retest, long. Only way I'd start to short this is if break support, you get some sort of consolidation. Long story short, a lot would have to happen. NAS 100. This is a trade that I missed last week that ended up playing really well. So let's go over this. NAS 100, we had broken out of this huge uptrend, right, to the upside. This thing was trending like crazy right here. And then all of a sudden we had a lot of resistance, ended up pushing the downside. And we have just been in a downtrend. So looking at all of our different zones here, we have this zone, we have this zone, we have this zone, we have this one. Going into last week, this is where we were in this area. And we kind of talked about this. Although we were at a low point, we had a bullish engulfing here and a bullish engulfing here, right? So 2 breaks of structure on the lower time frame, buyers saying that they're stronger than sellers, followed up by this candle, which certainly is not the most bullish candle or bearish candle in the world right here, right? Sellers tried to move it down, failed epically. Ultimately, that was the last straw. Buyers just drove it into the next liquidity zone, which was up here at 129. So going down to the 4-hour, why was this a good trade? Look at the 4-hour time frame. We had actually taken a sell in this area, very risky sell that being. We had taken a sell and then it hit support, hit this previous high point, right? Didn't exactly form the best like bullish engulfing or morning star, any sort of bullish variation, but it just hit the 121 area and then pushed to the next zone right here. So if you were being a bit more risky, setting a limit order here or something, just basically saying 121 psychologically is a strong area, but also has strong area resistance, you could have called a very mean trade on this one. I personally didn't catch it, but I'm just observing that. So coming back up to the weekly time frame, where are we currently at? And as I look at the weekly, we are definitely at a key level where we have all the support here. We have the support here, support here. So this, when price has hit this zone, it has moved with a lot of volatility. This is the 130 area. So this is just a very significant liquidity zone that there is going to be a big move from. Coming to the 4-hour, we are very bullish right now. So obviously, moving to the upside. In order to take an entry in this area, what I would personally have to see is I would have to see price start to consolidate, form some sort of flag pattern, parallel channel, whatever, and then it would have to break to the downside. And this is ultimately where you'd be trying to actually get in on an entry somewhere in this area once it actually breaks out. Sure, you could try to short it from this zone, put stops up here. Personally, it's just not as high probability as waiting for the setup. The sellers to actually prove that they're ready to push this down a bit further. So that's personally what I'm waiting for on NAS 100. Very similar to NU. Just waiting for a forecast. I'm not taking any sells right now on this one. If I were to, I would definitely make my risk much lower. Like say I just sold it here, put stops right there, and then our targets are back at this red zone down here. Could even move this up a little bit more. This would kind of be the trade if you were to take it right now. This is the high risk position. Taking this, we haven't even closed this candle yet to form an engulfing. And remember, we're overall in an uptrend. So this is a counter trend trade. This would be the more high probability trade, waiting for it actually to break structure. You could still put stops above here, still 3-to-1 risk reward trade. So this is what I prefer to wait for right here. This is kind of what the more, reactive person would take probably. So yeah, more waiting on this. So that's NAS 100. Last but not least, let's get into BTC. I've been following this literally every single session. And I'm personally, I'm not trading this, margin trading this. I'm just buying and holding, just dollar cost averaging. And we've been calling this the McDonald's strategy. It's gonna probably get a new name soon, whenever it ends up moving up. But for now, it's the McDonald's strategy just because it's been going down. And this is the general idea, guys, is just not rocket science. Buy at certain levels. So buy at 40, buy at 30, buy at 20, buy at 12, buy at 3, right? Dollar cost average into these areas. And then once price turns around, the target for everyone, I think, alive is 100K for BTC. There's some people that are bold enough to say 150, which who knows? I mean,
People like me, no.
yeah, the day BTC hits 150, like, man, the world is gonna change, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And if you follow this strat, you'll be able to sit on top watching it all change with millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean, we've been on these sessions literally in every market condition because we've been doing these sessions through the entire cycle, right?
Yep. We saw election, we saw war, we saw pandemic. You and I have actually seen 2 elections, but yeah, I mean, all kinds of conditions in the market, right? And you got to adapt. That's part of it. It's a crazy ride. And then the emergence of crypto, right? We got to see that together too. That was pretty cool.
So we've been seeing all of it, guys, and all I gotta say is now is the time. If you're trying to dabble into crypto, don't be getting caught buying up here, buying over here. I mean, over here is decent, but buying over here, right after the large bullish pushes, just buy when it's low. Buy when it's low, dollar cost average, right? Don't put the house on it like I am, but just literally sit back and wait for this thing to turn around. Eventually, I'm personally believing that the speculators aren't going anywhere when it comes to BTC. I think too many people have too much money to make on this, and this thing is literally like the modern day lottery. I mean, sure, there's a lot of technologies behind it, quote unquote, the blockchain technology and whatnot. But let's be honest, for the most part, this is a lot of speculation. The market cap right now is smaller than Apple. It's smaller than a large cap stock on the stock exchange. When this thing goes up, the market cap becomes huge because so many people start to speculate on this. So yeah, it's a very early asset class. It has a long ways to go. I think the market cap of gold, pretty sure the market cap of gold is 12 trillion. Don't quote me on that. I think it's like 10 to 12 trillion. So I think when this was at its peak, market cap was at like 3 when it was in this area. Right now it's below 1. It's like right below 1. So I mean, going based off of that logic, if this thing eventually hits 10, probably will put this in the 150 area realistically, which will be very, very interesting. So yeah, BTC, I'm in. You guys are gonna see. I'm either gonna get very rich or we're gonna apply to McDonald's, once we get to 0. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Once it turns around, we'll call this the fucking like the Mike Tyson strategy or something.
Yeah, right. The comeback. Greatest comeback in history.
Yeah, like this will be interesting, but you guys can see it. We've got the positions in. I know you're Nick's in too. You're in Ethereum. whatnot
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. So crypto to the moon. So that's pretty much it for the sessions, guys. I see you got some questions here in the chat. Again, if you want to enter in the giveaway, this is the last chance to enter. All you got to do is post on your story that you guys are on the session, show the people that you're with Forex League, going through analysis, getting ready for the week. And yeah, one person will win 10K. So just some reminders, guys. Competition. I saw somebody mention it here for Funded Trader. The competition is live. Well, the registration is live. You can register until pretty much tonight, three hours from now. I think this month we have over 10,000 people in the competition, which is up from last month. I think last month had like 8,500. So
Very
there's
nice. That's a record. That's
yeah,
great.
ton of people in the competition. We have new prizes this month. We have more prizes, bigger prizes. So make sure you join. All you got to do is trade, and whoever makes the most wins. So, you know, it's pretty good deal. So make sure you guys get in on that. We got the discounts going for Funded Trader that end tonight, 12.5% off, 125% refunds. And then we're coming out with a new program. So tomorrow, me and Nick are doing a webinar for Forex League. We're doing a community update. And then we're dropping a mini course. It's just about funding. It's kind of just giving you guys our perspective on some different topics when it comes to funding companies and funding programs. It's going to only be $50. So it's really just for beginners. So that's coming out pretty much within the week or so. We're just finalizing some things now. So that's all the updates, guys. This will be on YouTube soon. And yeah, best of luck to you guys in the market this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Take care, guys. We'll see you guys soon.
Peace out, everybody.